The price of XRP has just been set at $10,000, which is where Ripple's CTO, David Short's, lives. This is very important because the founder of XRP just said that the price of XRP will reach $10,000. Soon after, David Short's, co-founder of XRP and current CTO of Ripple, went on a live spot. Now, this happened just a few days before the departure was widely announced. There is a sneaky way for David Short's to say that XRP will become the biggest reserve currency in the world. Arthur Ritchie, the founder of XRP, had just said that XRP is built for $10,000 and must be able to grow to support 7.5 people. Now that big banks like JP Morgan, BlackRock, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and many others have been given the go-ahead by the US to switch to the XRP ledger and start using XRP, we are seeing a shift in the amount of international transactions and payments going to the XRP ledger. The real estate and real-world assets market is another huge organization moving to the XRP ledger. David Short's, Ripple's CTO, who is now resigning, talks about this. He also said that XRP would be more useful for real estate and other assets in the real world if it was worth $1 million instead of $1. He also put extra emphasis on the word realistic. Guys, look at this. This is on Quora, he says. This is what he says. He says that XRP can't be really cheap. That doesn't make sense. Take a look at this. If a single XRP is worth $1, then you'd need 1 million XRP to buy a house. This is equal to $1 million, which is $1 million. You would only need 1 XRP, which would cost that same $1 million. The only change is that it costs less to pay when prices are higher. When Bitcoin was $300, it would change the market too much and be too expensive to use. Now you can use Bitcoin to buy a $1 million house. This means that when prices go up, payments go down. Before I post this clip, I want to let you know that David Short's, Ripple's CTO, says XRP will become the world's biggest reserve currency. They've already met with the Ripple team and the President of the United States and his government team. This is very important. Of course, this shouldn't come as a surprise since we already know that the Trump administration really likes XRP. They really like Brad Garlinghouse and they really like Ripple for some reason. Also, Donald Trump wrote that XRP would be the currency in the crypto reserve that the Federal Reserve is holding. Another big deal. Guys, before we start the clip, we want to tell you that we've teamed up with Ripple to give everyone who watches this video up to $100 worth of free XRP. As was thought, the price of XRP could actually skyrocket to over $11,898 in the next couple of months. Look at this. It's very important. Right now, you can get into XRP for free. The price of XRP right now is $2.87. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your personal messages, and share this video, you will get $100. You can then use that money to get a nice bag of XRP for free. As I said before, all you have to do to get the juicy bonus is like, share, subscribe, and sign up for our poll using the link in the description. Let's play the movie. For example, do you think that there can be 2 world reserve currencies at the same time? Yes, I believe that is possible. The idea that the dollar will no longer be used as a reserve currency seems pretty likely to me. A lot of places are also open to trying new things. Some of my wildest hopes for the success of a digital asset are that countries will realize that the US dollar will not always be the reserve currency. This is not something that I think will happen quickly, though. Other things will be the money of choice. That's also what we saw with banks. When we first started selling software to banks, people would tell me, why would a bank use what you're selling them when they could use something that was made by banks? They didn't know that Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, and JP Morgan Chase are among the top 10 banks in the world and in the country. These are the banks that would build a system that the whole world would use. The other 6,000 smaller banks are their biggest and toughest rivals. They really dislike those things the most. They would not want to use the system that they built and keep up because it will favor them over their biggest and strongest rivals. I believe countries could also go through the same thing. It seems like every country would love for its currency to be the world's main currency. You know, that's helped the US and it's grown the US economy, quote unquote, by leaps and bounds for decades. Every other country would agree, yes, we'd like the world to be the world's reserve currency, but the US staying in place, the EU, Russia, and maybe 1 or 2 other countries are the only ones who could possibly pull it off. But in reality, most countries know that if there is a new world reserve currency that is also a currency of a country, it won't be them. Because of this, they might actually like a currency that no one can control better than one that is run by their biggest political enemies. Thus, I believe that is the best case situation for digital assets to be successful. It would be great if these countries agreed that the US dollar couldn't last forever, but it wouldn't be their currency either. No one would want to go through what happened with the US dollar. No one but the EU wants the EU to take the place of the dollar, right? No one but Russia wants the ruble to take the place of the dollar. No one but China wants the yuan to take the place of the dollar, which means they might be able to agree on a currency that no one could control instead of one that was run by their biggest global enemy. If you want a case of success, I think that's the most likely one. The real question, though, is how to get everyone to agree. Actually, they might agree if their geopolitical foes don't make them use a new currency instead of the dollar, but that's only if they get rid of the old boss and replace them with a new one. If they can choose to be their own boss, and that makes a lot of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think that will bother them too much. That's fine. Yes? It was great to talk to you all. I have one question only. David, I'm sorry, thanks, David. Even stranger, Ripple's CTO said that big banks are now starting to use XRP, which means that banks will officially start using XRP. But what's most important is that Ripple will start to work more like a bank and will only use the XRP system. This will make payments easier and give people access to trillions of dollars in capital. But do you know what they're not telling you? This is the real-world asset market, a huge market worth more than $650 trillion that is about to join the XRP system. The price of XRP could truly go through the roof if 650 trillion are injected. All of this is possible thanks to RealFi, a huge company that has added more than $2 billion worth of real estate to the XRP system. And on October 6th, they officially announced that they would start a new chapter that will see more people adopt and use their technology, which is based on the XRP ledger and the XRP ledger-built cryptocurrency Real token. This will be the future of real estate payments and awards. It's important to note that a market worth $650 trillion is about to start moving into the XRP ledger. This will all happen through the Real token. Once more, this is big. In fact, it will be so big that the Real token, which will be used to make it possible, will go from being worth 2 cents to over $64,500 in what could be months. This is crazy now. Think about it. That means that every $10,000 spent could turn into millions and millions of dollars. Let me be clear, I'm not a business advisor. This is not advice about money. This is not study. I'm just very optimistic. Really, this is crazy. The size of this market is $650 trillion. In the real world, there is an asset market that is new, built on the XRP system and based on utility. The project is also still very, very new.